Hey guys, welcome back to some more reviews. Horror Boy 465, aka Nate Murphy, the Explorer of Horror here. Welcome back to some more reviews. And today I'm doing a review on The Babadook, which came out in 2014, get a 6.8 on IMDb. Now this is a film that I've heard many different things about. Some people say this film is a classic, a modern day classic. Some people say this film is not that good. And I was gonna review this last night, but ran out of time. I didn't really have time to review this movie last night. So today, talking about this film, and honestly, the film is pretty decent. I don't hate the film. I really enjoyed the acting, the performances by the mom and the son. You know, Amelia and Samuel. Did a good job acting wise. Likable characters. Although the kid felt a little bit annoying at times, which I will admit that. Um, the film has some clever moments in it. Which, by the way, guys, if you guys haven't seen The Babadook yet, I will be spoiling this film, so this will be a spoiler review. And it's a little ironic. I reviewed a slow burn horror film yesterday called 10 Cloverfield Lane. And the big problem with this film is the pace. I get it. People are going to say in the comment section, this is a slow burn horror film. It's supposed to have that classic slow burn, build up the suspense, build up the characters' feel. Like I said, when you do a slow burn horror film, you got to have a good story, you got to have good acting, you got to have likable characters. You got to have an atmosphere. And this film has a decent atmosphere, well shot, likable characters. The story wasn't much though. I mean, I guess it's a little bit decent, but I don't know. I mean, 10 Cloverfield Lane, maybe because that was a lot more of an intense, ride. And even though it is a slow burn, there was a lot of intense moments in it. Here, this is more of just a slow build, which people are going to say, what, do you hate slow build horror films? No, I really enjoyed The Exorcist. Big fan of that film. Big fan of The Shining. Big fan of the theme. Those are all classics. So I really do enjoy slow burn horror films. It was just this one though. I don't know. Slow burn works on certain films, and then on certain films it doesn't. Here, not much happened to build up to the actual Babadook possessing the mom and the Babadook showing up finally. Not a lot happened. And I get that it's to build up the characters and to build up the acting and, to have likable characters and build suspense up and to build the story up. I get that, but I don't know, it just didn't work in this film for some reason. And it's weird because it does have a good atmosphere, it's well shot, it's well acted, has likable characters in it. Even though the kid got a little bit annoying at times because in the beginning of the film, which they kind of switch it around a little bit, which is another clever thing about this film, which I'll get to. But at the beginning of the film, the kid is very unlikable. He's screaming, yelling, high pitched screams, telling the mom about the Babadook. Because one day the mom ends up reading the story to this kid called the Babadook, and the story ends up being really messed up, and the kid ends up, freaking out over this book. Which I'll get into more details in a second about the story, but talk about some of the problems of the film at first. And the kid got a little bit annoying at times. He screams a lot, especially in the beginning of the film, screaming. He's a jerk to his mom, a jerk to everybody around him, very unlikable. And the mom is a single mom, supporting her child, likable character, did a decent job acting. Her name is Essie Davis. Did a good job in this film, likable character, just a struggling mom, supporting her son. And, you know, the pace, um, the kid, acting wise, towards the second half of the film did a good job. And also like his character was more likable in the second half of the film. But in the first half, he was completely unlikable. He was annoying. Didn't care for the kid in the first half of the film. But the second half did a good job, which I'll get to. Again, the pacing pretty slow. Not really a memorable score in my opinion. I really didn't remember the score that much. Again, the film has a good atmosphere. It's well shot. It was very well directed. Um, Story is decent. And good acting, likable characters. So it's weird. This film, I don't know. I think it was just decent. I wouldn't say it's a classic. I wouldn't say it's a modern day classic or anything like that. The film's okay. It's decent. Again, has a classic horror film feel. It's not a slasher film. It's not a gory film. It's just it's going for a classic suspenseful build up horror film, which I do get that about this film. The film was an hour and 33 minutes long, so it wouldn't seem like it was a slow burn horror film, but it really is. I mean, it takes a while for the Babadook to get on screen. They built up some of the characters, and pretty much what it's about is um, a single mother, taking care of her child after her husband had passed away. And you find out that she's a little bit doesn't want people to mention about his death. You know, Pretty much is her weakness is the death of her husband. And one day, well, basically her son is acting up in school, acting up everywhere. And one day she reads in this book called The Babadook. And I don't mind this idea of her reading him sort of this pop-up book and discovering that it gets more and more sinister the more that she reads. And, you know, basically as she reads this book, she sort of summons this demon. And basically the Babadook comes into the story. About 30 or 40 minutes into the film, though, it takes a while for the Babadook to actually get into the film. But he gets into the film. You don't really see him that much at first. You just sort of see these weird things. The mom looking out the window, seeing the Babadook behind this old lady character. And then you finally see the Babadook. And I don't mind looking at the Babadook. I mean, wears a coat and a top hat and demonic looking face and weird looking fingers. Didn't mind the idea of him like crawling all over the walls and stuff like that. Definitely creepy idea. And he possesses the mom, and the mom from there on acts very weird, yells at her son, doesn't take him to school anymore, doesn't go to her job anymore. Very weird acting. And that's when the son became likable because they do the flip in the film. Because at first the mom is likable character and the son isn't. And then the second half of the film comes around and the mom gets being possessed by the Babadook. And now she's unlikable, and the son is likable because he's trying to tell his mom, "Hey, mom, there's something wrong." He's trying to help out his mom, and he's not yelling and screaming anymore. And you find out that he was really warning her. He was really warning her about the Babadook and stuff like that. But the second half of the film, he wasn't annoying. He was a likable character. Um, and he tells his mom to fight the Babadook and get him out of her body. And he ties her up in the basement. Actually, fights back really well done because he has this backpack with like a catapult thing in the back of it. Throws like a freaking toy at her head or something like that. I can't remember if it's like a rock or a toy or something like that. Throws at her head, pushes her down these stairs, ties her up in the basement, gets the Babadook out of her. And that's pretty much where the Babadook tries to use her husband against the mother, and that's when the mother stands up to the Babadook and tells it, "Hey, go away. I'm not afraid of you anymore." Kind of reminded me of Nightmare on Elm Street a little bit of how Nancy in that film said, "You're not real" and stuff like that, and don't believe in you. Sort of feels like that in this film, and the Babadook goes pretty much back into the basement. Sort of a weird ending where you find out they pretty much keep it in the basement and they feed it like worms and stuff. So they pretty much keep it in the basement as like a sort of a, I don't know, not really much of a pet, but they just lock it away in the basement. And the mother and the son, they go on happy, and the film pretty much ends there. So it's a very straightforward plot, but the film is very fleshed out. The beginning of the film, you find out that the mom, is struggling, and the Babadook is sort of making her look like the bad guy. The house is all rotten and roaches are coming to the wall and stuff like that, and the Babadook is pretty much trying to make the son get taken away by children's services and stuff like that. Again, the build up was, had some decent scenes. But then again, the build up felt a little bit slow because for the first 30 or 40 minutes, you don't see the Babadook. It's just the son acting weird, the mom trying to figure out what's going on. She finds the book, reads the book, later on destroys the book, ends up getting mailed back to the house. Again, very, very slow build up, which I do get that. It's trying to be a classic horror film and build up suspense and build up an old school horror film. But I don't know, but with films like The Shining and The Thing, they had, I don't know, first of all, The Thing had special effects. Here, this one doesn't really have that much special effects. Um, and even The Shining had, like, Jack Nicholson in that film. Did a good job as Jack Torrance. And even the girl who played the wife, and the son, they did a good job as well. Just Jack Nicholson in that film did a good job, and also you get some practical effects in there. Here, not a lot of practical effects. Again, Babadook is definitely a creepy creature. It's a creepy design, crawling on these walls, making these weird sounds like a locust or something like that. Although they use one of these sounds, I can't really remember what movie it's from, but they use these sounds sometimes for the Babadook. There's something from a different movie. But I can't really remember what movie I was thinking about. But whenever the Babadook makes these weird noises, sometimes it sounds like a locust, sometimes it sounds like like a sound from a different movie, but I can't really remember the movie's name. But creepy design for the Babadook. The son, the mom, likable characters. The son was more likable towards the second half of the film. Um, Decent acting, but it's a very slow build horror film, which I do get that, but I don't think it's as good to say as like it's being a classic or anything like that, or being a absolutely flawless horror film. No, it has its flaws. The pace is a really big problem in the film. Not really a memorable score. Not that much special effects. Um, and the plot is decent. The characters are likable, but there's not really a lot that happens. Which, once again, I'm going to bring this up for the millionth time. I get it; it's supposed to be a slow build horror film. But I can watch The Thing, I can watch The Shining, I can watch The Exorcist, I can watch trying to think of another slow burn horror film. Uh, it's not really a horror film, but No Country for Old Men. That was more of a slower build thriller horror film, action film ish, film. Um, just a lot of slow burn horror films that I can't really name off all of them right now, but slow burn horror films that are actually done well. The Shining, The Thing, The Exorcist, well done. But this film again, it was decent. It was okay. Um, I didn't mind it. Um, I've heard many different, opinions about this film. I've heard people say they hated this film. I've heard people say that thought this one was boring. I've heard people say that thought this one was like a classic or something like that, or a modern day classic. People say that it was a great film. It's not a fantastic, flawless film. It has its flaws. The pace is a big problem in the film, but it's a decent film. It's well shot, well acted, some decent ideas in there. Um, but yeah, decent film. Not really like the best film. Like I probably wouldn't put in my top 10 favorite horror films or top 10 favorite like modern day horror films. It wouldn't be in there. Um, but for what it is, it's a slow burn horror film going for a classic feel, and it was decent. Suspense was there at times, but again, not much happened. There was not really a lot of effects to it. Um, which it's part of the slow burn process in the film. It's part of the slow pacing, the built suspense stuff like that. But I don't know, just it didn't really work in this film that much. I mean, it just felt at times very boring. Um, But besides the score wasn't really that memorable. I can't really remember any songs from the movie. Um, and the son, the first half wasn't likable, but the second half, acting was better, and the character was likable again, or was likable. Um, but besides the pacing and the music not being that memorable, um, it's a pretty decent horror film, and I didn't mind it. So, anyways, guys, that's my review for the Babadook. It's pretty decent. I don't mind it. Um, I am Horrorboy465, aka Nate Murphy, the Explorer of Horror here. Thanks for watching this review, and I'll see you guys on the next review. Bye, guys.